Hi class, today we're going to talk about fractions. Specifically, we're going to learn how to add fractions. Now, if you haven't done that before, it might sound scary and fractions can seem hard, but we're going to talk about them as parts of a whole, and I think that makes it easier to understand, because a fraction is really just a division of dividing up a whole into pieces, and then you get a certain number of those parts, and that's not so hard. First, we need to talk about what it is to be a whole. A whole thing, like a whole apple or a whole house or a whole pizza, is one of anything. That's a whole. For our exercise, our whole is going to be a circle. So one whole circle, the blue in the middle there, is our whole. So what if our whole were divided in half? Here we see an example of half of our circle is blue and the other half is white. Now, we know that when you have half that's blue and half that's white, if you put them together, you get your whole. So our fraction here are 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2. That equals a whole. This is pretty easy, isn't it? We can do this. So I have a question for you. What is this orange one? Remember that the blue half and the white half were one half. This orange one, what do you think that is? Let's take some guesses. That's right, it's a quarter of our whole circle. It would take 4 of these orange segments to make a whole circle. So we have one of them. So our top number, called the numerator, is 1, and our bottom number, called the denominator, is 4. So the top number represents how many I have, and the bottom number represents how many would make a whole. Not so bad, is it? So here's where it gets tricky. What is 1/4 plus 1/2? So we have our orange quarter of a circle, and we have our blue half of a circle. And we don't want to say 1/4 plus 1/2 is 1/4 and a half. Let's see if we can find a different way to do this. Let's start by looking at the 1/2. 1/2 is no different than 2 quarters, we can see through this example. So if we look at the blue and we imagine what it would be like to put how many oranges it would take to put over the blue and completely cover it without covering anything else, we can see that it would be 2 of them. So 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Does that help you? Our question originally was, what is 1/4 plus 1/2? And we know now that 1/2 equals 2 quarters. That's right. We're going to take that 1/2 and instead make it 2 quarters. And you might ask, why would we do that? Well, let's think about it for a second. We have the 1/4 on the left, and that tells us that we have 1 part when 4 parts makes a whole. And then we're going to add to that 2 parts when 4 parts make a whole. I think we're ready for an answer. Can you tell me what it is? That's right. 1/4 of a circle plus 2 quarters of a circle equals 3 quarters of a circle. So our answer is going to be 3/4 of a circle. And you can see that when you make the divisions of your whole the same, so that in both our first number 1/4 and our second number, which was 1/2, and we changed to 2/4, that when we made them all quarters, it was easier to add and come to a solution. Okay, it's your turn, but because you're so smart, I had to make it harder. These, the little green ones, are 1/8 of a whole circle. So if you were to put each one of these right next to each other, so each side lined up with another side, you would have one circle all the way around. So what is 3/8 plus 1/4? Have we done anything like this? What would be the first thing you would do? Can I get a volunteer to come up to the smartboard and with your finger drag the right slices of the circle into the places so that we can solve this problem? Remember, we have our question asked for 1/8 and 1/4, but you might have the skills to do it a different way. Does anybody want to come up? That was great work. So we've got a bunch more of these, and I'd like a different volunteer for each one. And so all you have to do is use your finger to drag the slice up to the circle. And if you don't like what you did the first time, you can drag it back down and drag something else up and show us how you got to your answer. All right. Should take you about 5 to 10 more minutes to finish the rest of the problems.